there, it's Kevin with a Rogue Deck Builder. Here, we're going to revive when I used to open up all the pre-release kits and build a deck, because we have a pre-release that is, wow, it's in really quick here, so I need to hurry. So we're going to open up this Edge of Eternities and see my initial thoughts of what I would build with this. And I'm probably not going to show you the pre-release, not going to, you know, I used to do that, like kind of do a little deck report of how well I'm doing, but we're going to be so busy that I'm just getting some content out and be looking forward to my top 10 videos or top 10 cards from Edge of Eternities that we do want to brew around. I know I did terrible with Final Fantasy of not even really picking many cards, but we have a rotation, and a rotation I think will make it a lot easier to brew. I'm still going to have fun with the Kona deck because I'm obsessed with Kona, and I think there's some really cool cards out of this set that work with Kona. Oh, wow, get an awesome promo. Like, this is such a cool pre-release promo for sure, a Sacred Foundry, but I'm actually, like, I'm happy but disappointed at the same time, because you don't want to see a land in your, like, promo. You want a card that's playable. And of course, it could be playable if I'm in a Boros, but even in a shock land in a constructed format is super powerful. A shock land in a limited format is actually pretty meh in the scope of things. Like, again, if you're fixing in those colors, yeah, but it's not what you want to see in your promo. So far, I like the mechanics of the set. I'm not sure how the market is going to, or the player base is going to like it long term. The crewing and the spaceships is kind of weird. So Bombard got a reprint, huh? So this is a really playable card in instant speed 3-mana removal, a Dark Endurance. So this spell costs 1 less cast if it targets a blocking creature. You can get it for 1 against indestructible +2/+0. You can use it to be aggressive too. Not the biggest fan of these little combat tricks. In limited, I think you should just be slamming creatures when you can. We have the Light Gemmer. So it attaches to a creature and gets +1/+2 and hexproof when you cast it. So kind of cool. This is a way to, again, save a creature and have a equipment left over. So I'm not sure how good like artifacts and equipments are in this set, but I guess we'll wait and see how it is. So we have the Starfighter Pilot. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, surveil. So it's a good way to, what do they even call it? Station. That's the word I'm looking for. So it's a good little card to station, and it's a bear. Bears are really good. So if you're a new player, bears are incredibly good. And they're just something about the 2 mana, the second turn, of getting out some, either a blocker like a 2/2 that can trade with your opponent's aggression, or being aggressive yourself. And they typically work in all strategies. So if you're playing like a control or a tempo or a aggro or a mid-range type strategy, bears are super, super important to do something on turn number 2. So typically, if you see these, you're going to want to actually play them in your deck. We have a 4/4 Trampler for 4 mana with landfall, and it gets +1/+0. Man, they keep pushing these commons because this is an incredibly fast clock. So basically, you can consistently rely on this being a 5/4 for 4 mana with trample. So any sort of pump spells, this is a great target for. With the Wormwall Sweeper, so this is the spacecraft that can be stationed, becomes a 2/2 flyer. So kind of weird. It surveils 2 when it comes into play. You have to station it a couple times and you get a 2/2 flyer out of it. So, I mean, kind of meh. We have the Temporal Interventions, so it costs 2 less if an online permanent left the battlefield this turn and target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an online card. That player discards it. So might be able to chain it off with something, but I mean, it's kind of overcost for 3 mana. And these are cards I typically like to avoid in limited environment, because this is also something that is oftentimes just like, you'd rather just slam a card. You want to be like, yes, you could take out a bomb of your opponent, but oftentimes you just rather play something else that could put pressure rather than try to rip something out for 3 mana and not doing anything until turn 3 when a bear then attacks in. We have a 4/4 for 4, and it costs 3 less if another spell was cast. This is actually kind of cool because you could actually cast a 1-drop on turn number 3 or turn number 4 and then play this as well. So you could actually chain into stuff. We have the Debris Field Crusher, nice little station. When it enters, deals 3 damage to any target for 5 mana is kind of weird, and then you get a 1/5 with like a fire breathing effect. A 3 mana double striker, and a pumper as well. So you got to think of this as a 4/2. Double strike is always pretty good. So it is basically on curve with what you want to be doing. Great little pump. So it does seem like green-white pump is something that is probably viable in this format. We have a Tapestry Warden, and each creature you control assigns toughness rather than its power. And each creature you control with toughness greater than its power, you station with the toughness as well. Okay. We have the Gene Morph, Imago, a 1/3 with landfall. Whenever land you control enters, target creature gets base power 3/3. If you control 6 or more lands, it gets 6/6. This is like, I'm not the biggest fan of this as a rare. Like the 1/3 flying is kind of cool, but yeah, it's kind of weird for a first rare. So far, not so good with our openings. You gain 2 life and create a lander token, and lander tokens can search your library for a basic land. So basically 3 mana for a rampant growth type effect, which is not bad at all. And then you can first turn create the lander, second turn actually crack it. So not a bad ramp spell. And we get a lander to go with our lander in a swamp. All right, we'll try to speed this up and look at the commons and stuff, and let's get right to the rares. We got a Roboto token and the Sammy's Curiosity, another lander. So we're doing good with like ramping. Maybe a landfall type of thing is actually viable. And then we can sacrifice another artifact or land draw to draw a card. That's actually a pretty good little 1-drop, and it can't sack itself though. You draw 2 cards and lose 2 life for 3 mana, and if an unpermanent permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, instead you draw 2 cards and each opponent loses 2 life. Okay, sure. We have a Kyrogen Relic. When it enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card, right? That's actually pretty good. So this is something that wants to die, and then you get basically 2 cards off it, and you can sacrifice it. So it has a way to sacrifice it and stun something. Pretty good. Another flash equipment that attaches immediately. That seems to be a pretty big theme with equipment lately. Gets +1/+0 for 1 mana. So like, again, green-white pump seems pretty good in this. Tap and untap permanent you control. Add 1 mana of any color. So this is actually, I didn't even notice this card. This is actually a really solid card for Kona. I can't believe we missed it in the spoilers, because I think this will end up going in my Kona deck. And I don't think it will replace like Llanowar Else, but maybe a 2-of. I don't know. We'll have to see, because anything that actually taps Kona is super strong the turn it comes out. And this is a card that actually can do so, even though you might not want to be utilizing the mana. So Gene Pollinator, we'll have to look and see if it actually works in that deck. If people aren't, if you're here and you haven't looked at my channel, kind of obsessed with that combo, so disregard that if you haven't looked at my videos with it. All right, so another equipment that attaches immediately for 2/1 and reach. Has a huge equip cost though if you have to reattach it. Whenever a creature control with a +1 counter on it dies, you draw a card, a 3/3 for 3. Again, this is like the 3/3 for 3 is a new kind of bar for your turn 3. So these are quite playable cards. So far, I am liking my green-white. It's just like, when in doubt, curve out. That's kind of the analogy for limited. And we have a decent little curve so far with like, I'm sure we'll get some rampy stuff too that might work with it. So you can return up to 3 target creature cards with total mana 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put up +1 counter. This card is insane. Scout the Survivors. So I know there's a Monument deck that I've been playing around with. It can't get Monument back, and there's actually some pretty good like aristocrat type strategies too with Scout Survivor, where you can get multiple things back. Like this can get your Sephiroth back. Can get a bunch of other cards, like they're a bunch of 1-drops back, 3 for 1 with the Scout Survivors, and they get a little bit bigger with +1 counters, and anything that works off +1 counters. This is an insanely powerful card. All right, we have Aphrodite Dreaming Acolyte. Is a 2/3 when it enters, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards unless you discard artifact, and then it has Death Touch on your turn. So another card that enables like a Monument strategy now. Like I'm loving this because now Monument seems to be working really well with black and blue. We're getting a lot of support for it, and we have a Null, which counters an artifact or enchantment. I think this actually is playable in this format because there are so many artifacts. And we got a Jellyfish. So you may look at the top card of your library in time and cast artifact spells from the top of your library, and artifacts you control have tap, add a blue, and spend this mana only to cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand. So this works for warping and exile, I'm assuming. And this is actually pretty decent with if you have enough artifact cards to actually make a deck with. We do have those like stun cards that work really well. We have a Nutrient Block. When it sacrifices, you gain 3 life. When this artifact is put in your graveyard, from the battlefield, draw a card. So I mean, these are nice little combinations right here. So if we somehow can make it work, I think it'd be fun to try that card in like a blue strategy. I'm trying to think of what works with blue. Blue-green still looks pretty good. We got that blue-green landfall strategy. It looks fine. We have a creature when it enters, you can tap it. When this creature enters, return up to 1 target permanent you control to its owner's hand. They're creating like flicker, or not flicker, at least like return cards like in every set. This is almost good enough with the Orzhov bounce type cards, and we actually are getting a little more support for some cards that want to be bounced back to the hand in this set. But I think you just stick with the 2-drops. This one's just basically 3 mana for what a lot of 2s do. We have the Fungal Colossus. This spell costs X lefts, where X number of differently named lands. So in limited, this is actually pretty terrible. We have the Cavern Sky Warden, which if something left with the Void, this spell was warped this turn, put a +1 counter on a creature. We have the Divert Disaster. You can counter a spell unless they pay 2, and if they do, you create a lander. So at least if they pay the 2, you can get a lander, or you just counter a spell. Okay. As long as you control an artifact that triggers +1/+0 in Death Touch, so it's a 4/4 for 4 mana, which is pretty decent. And we have a Torpedo. You can sacrifice this to destroy target non-land permanent. Ability costs 3 less to activate if you attacked with a spacecraft. So it could be viable. Like again, more artifacts is pretty sweet, because we do have like this little artifact blue strategy that's doing pretty well. We can warp this in tap an artifact creature and put a stun counter and recast it later as a 5/5. This is a great little tempo card. So on turn 3, it does what you want it to do, and then you can have at least a 5/5 beater that taps something down again. Well, this Bygone Colossus is weird though. You can warp it in. This is great for stationing. You warp it and station something, but it's going to be, you know, a hard 9 cost at that point. So I wouldn't recommend like putting this in your deck unless you can station something or utilize some sort of haste effect or something with this warp. Full Bore. Target creature gets +3/+2. If that creature was cast for its warp cost, it also gains trample and haste. So not quite a monstrous rage, but it's trying to do its best in impersonation. With the Mechan Navigator, it's a 2/1. When this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. So it doesn't have flying or anything, kind of weird. I mean, it works with stun counters and stuff, works with stationing. We have the Melt Strider's Resolve. When this R enters, enchanted creature fights up to 1 target creature and opponent controls. Aw, come on. Print this right after Phyrexian Obliterator leaves rotates out. Lame. Enchanted creature is +1/+0 and can block +0/+2 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. It would have been a perfect little target for good old Obliterator. We have the Mightform Harmonizer. This is a nice little rare in our landfall strategy. Whenever land you control enters, double the power of target creature you control until end of turn. Now our blue-green landfall is actually looking pretty sweet. And we do get a spacecraft that becomes a 7/7 flyer. When it enters, it deals 10 damage to up to 1 target creature. And the station, I mean, in a ramp type strategy, we do have a ramp type strategy, I think this is pretty good. Like, yeah, so far I'm liking green. Green and blue. White and green looking pretty good too. I don't think we have enough like playables so far in red. We have some neat stuff, but Sacred Foundry, you're looking kind of bad so far. We have a good old, it looks like the Grave Pack Monoist. Whenever this creature dies, create a tap 2/2 robot artifact creature token. So it's a 2/1 for 3, and then you get back a robot. We have another Shatter. Enchanted creature gets +5/-0. When it becomes tapped or dealt damage, you destroy it, not the enchantment. So pretty cool. So it's just going to lock something down for a while. They can chump block with it. Weft-Blade Enhancer. So you can warp this in for a 3/4, and it enters, put a +1 counter on each of the 2 target creatures. Like I said, I'm really thinking that this green and white kind of pump type strategy is pretty good. It works kind of what we're going. Destroy an artifact, enchantment, or creature flying. This is actually very playable. It is sorcery speed with the Shattered Wings, but there's going to be plenty of artifacts to hit. So when in limited environment, you definitely want to look at these like plummet or naturalized type effects and judge them based upon scenarios of the set of its. And since there are stations or spacecraft, this is an incredibly, and a lot of flying creatures, this is an incredibly powerful card. We have a Nebula Dragon. When this creature deals 3 damage to any target for 7 mana. Jeez, I guess we could ramp into it if we were going into ramp. We got another Torpedo, which works with our little ramp artifact strategy. And a 2/4 flyer. When it becomes tapped, you may sacrifice another creature and draw a card. So we can add any color and then sacrifice this, draw X cards, where X is the number of different lands. So you can maybe draw 2 cards, but it's still a little ramp fixing spell, which I think that's what I'm leaning towards. And then this is a nice little vote out, convoke, destroy a creature. I've noticed a lot of sorcery speed removal in this set. This is weird. So, but yeah, it destroys a creature though. Landfall. Whenever land you control enters, create a 2/2. Oh yeah, we're playing Landfall. We have the engineering. The warp is kind of weird. You can warp it in, then play a land to get a 2/2 on turn 3. But yeah, it's kind of weird. I think we just slam it for 5. We have the Wedge Light Rammer. Becomes a flying first striker for 3/4, and then it enters and creates a 2/2 artifact creature token. Not too shabby, but it's going to be tough to get it up to the 9. We have the Pinnacle Emissary. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 drone. Artifact creature with flying. This token can block only creatures with flying. You can warp it in. So you'd warp it in just to, like, this warp does have these cast triggers, so that does make that a little bit interesting. But yeah, this card's weird to warp in unless like here you warp it in and then cast. I don't. It's weird. Okay, we have the Dual Sun Technique. target creature you control is double strike until the turn of has +1 counter, you draw a card. So again, the green-white pump is definitely a theme. All right, 2 more packs here. And so far, again, I think I'm just leaning towards green-blue. I think that we kind of have some weird curves with black, and nothing really exciting from black, just a lot of like super load in. And now this is our 3rd curiosity. And we can possibly even just go into green-red. Green-red's looking good too. So we have the Sladrill Scrapper, and we have the other one that gains 2 life. We've seen it. Another Relic. We've seen it. We've seen these cards. We're starting to get redundants here. Destroy an artifact or tap creature, gain 3 life. Instant speed's good. We have the equipment we've seen before. Enchant creature or spacecraft that taps and doesn't untap. So, and you get to control it too. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So you want something with some sort of static effect with Tractor Beam to take care of. And we've got another Uologist, which is fine. Just 3/3 for 3 is fine. The Mechan, so it's hexproof flying, and then sacrifices a creature for 10. Deals 3 damage to target. Target player draws 3 cards, gains 3 life. X less to activate or X number of differently named lands. Unfortunately, that's a problem. We don't have a lot of differently named lands. So, and there's no... Oh, we've got a Mirror Pool now, though. I mean, that does work for differently cast land. So this land enters tapped, and you can add a colorless and sacrifice land, copy target instant sorcery spell. You control it, you choose target and sacrifice this land, create a token that's a copy target creature. So it's a super playable card. So Mirror Pool does work with these, but you're going to be wanting to sack it. And we do have a black rare bomb now. Lifelink, whenever 1 more creature you control deal combat damage to player, you draw a card and lose a life. So they fixed a lot of the Enduring Curiosity effects because it says whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage. You're only drawing 1, if I'm reading this correctly, per combat. At the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, you create a 2/2 artifact. Now, this is just such a bomb that it's going to make me relook at black to see if it's actually viable. And I'm definitely leaning towards some sort of green rampy strategy. I did like the blue for a lot of the tempo-based stuff, but with a couple removal spells in black, and now this card that is something that curves really well with those ramp spells, you can get out a turn earlier. This is now looking really, really good. Another one of the bouncers. And let's hope for like a black rare to solidify that we're going to be going black out of this pack. And then I think that's what we'll do. So cast your second spell each turn, you put a +1 counter on this creature, so it gets bigger and bigger. Another little bouncer, and another differently cast lands, but they didn't even have a land cycle. What weird cards, man. These were weird in this set. And then we've seen this one, and we've seen that one, and we've seen that one, and a little Haster Warper. This one's actually kind of cool, because you get in for the 3, recast it later, sure. And I'm still, okay, now I'm really back into green-blue. With this another Mechanizoa, because these are the scenarios are we're going to be definitely locking down our opponent with all our tap stuff. We have a lot of aggressive 3/3s. We have these 5/5s that can actually be aggressive. We can station things with this little warp in. Yeah, whenever another artifact you control enters, create a 2/2 robot creature. This ability only triggers once per turn, but now it works. Yeah, it's green-blue. I don't even like. I don't care what comes after this. We could be splashing red, maybe for some removal. Deals 3 damage to target creature. If it deals 5 damage, you control spacecraft. And we have a larval Scoutlander. Enters, you may sacrifice land or a lander if you do search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield. And it's got station and a 3/3. And we got another one at the right hand. So yeah, I think that's the way to go. And then it does give us, though, a black rare of whenever enchanted creature attacks, put target creature card from defending player's graveyard on the battlefield under your control, tap and attacking. Beginning end step, sacrifices are unless an online permanent left the battle this turn or a spell was warped this turn. So you have to, like, yeah, make it so this sticks around. Pretty sweet, though. So now I'm thinking just black splash. We could easily splash a color. So probably for all the removal spells for the bomb. So we're definitely going to Sultai. Like, it's pretty easy. Like, white was pretty bad here. With these 2/2 flyers, I don't think are going to do much. There's nothing real, like, Radiant Strike was good, but a lot of blades that don't do much, a lot of these pump spells that don't really do much. But if we actually do look at, like, our blue is super solid with what it wants to be doing. These Mamanons are pretty sweet for hitting artifacts off the top of our library, which is fine. I think they're fine. It's just a 3/4 flyer anyway. We could actually even play this dude, which is pretty good. And we have all of the green just to basically be fixing and basically ramping up a bit. And that's kind of the route I'd go with this pre-release. So overall, though, nothing like crazy special out of this mix. I think that it's a solid pool, though. It's got a nice little curve. It's got a strategy, which, I mean, we definitely have enough playables. This is, I'll take it all day. Like, what I don't like is when you end up with like a lot of unplayables and like a really wonky strategy. Like, you know, yeah, usually stuck with like 20, and you have to put in a lot of filler that just doesn't work. Or you have like this like hybrid aggro strategy, or like one of the Final Fantasy ones I got stuck with is I got like this really good equipment payoff, but no equipments to go with it. But then it was so many cards in that color combination, it was hard to find anything else to go with it, like to go a different color combination. But anyway, so far I'm really liking this set. I think this set's going to be geared towards like actually the skill level rather than bomby. Like Final Fantasy was super bomby, but so far it does seem like this is a lot more balanced with this tempo, which I absolutely do enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe I will give an update video of how I did in my pre-release. Typically not though, but be looking for the top 10 list of cards to brew with. We're going to try to do a lot more content when things start to, I say this all the time, I know I say this all the time, but with having Talmadge, we'll have to introduce you to Talmadge. He is a brewer just like me. He's going to start adding some content as well. And hopefully with the two of us, we can create a good little tempo to revive this channel. So I am definitely enjoying Arena, definitely enjoying Standard. And we have people playing at the store. Everything is looking up and up for coming back to the good old days. Definitely probably won't get to the point of, you know, daily releases and putting as much effort that I did in this channel like I did, you know, 10 years ago. But yeah, it's still something I think is enjoyable to do. And as long as you guys want to stick around for the show, we'll keep creating content. If you want more of me every day of this ugly mug, you can always go and see my Gone Rogue Game channel. We produce content there quite regularly. Anyway, this has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.